Please welcome the star of the 10-time Oscar nominee 1917, George MacKay. Great to see you. Great to see you. There's a mic for you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So glad that you're here.
Cheers.
So, in the simplest terms, how is 1917 different from anything else that you've had to do in your career? I can only imagine the answer to this question.
Well, we rehearsed for 6 months for a start. It's like a play and a film together, and that process of being involved right from the very beginning, like every department involved together. Like oftentimes, it's quite separate. All the departments come together on the day, but we had to choreograph the entire film because, Sam had no edit, and so you can't work out the rhythm and the pacing of the film afterwards. So we had to suss out the emotional rhythm and the pace of the entire piece because it dictated the actual length of the set, because the scene has to be perfectly the length of the set and the set the length of the scene. And so therefore everyone was working out the shot, the set, the emotion right from day one for 5 months before we even turned over.
Were there ever times where you or Dean, your fellow actor, were you ever like, oh my God, let's just shoot this thing already? It's been 4 months of rehearsal. Or were you so happy that you had all of that time?
It was a mixture because sometimes you're just like, oh, come on, let's go. And then other times you're there like, oh my God, the idea of the first day after 4 months was kind of terrifying as well. So it was a little bit of both.
Now, I know that this movie, which is made to look like it's one shot, is actually made up of several shots, some as long as 8 minutes long. Were there takes where it was going great until minute 6 or 7, and then someone tripped over themselves and you had to kind of reset?
Yeah.
Was it ever you?
Oh yeah. I had to see, literally, I think it was the last 4 seconds of a 6.5 minute scene. As the shot was zooming towards my arm, my rifle fell off my shoulder. And it was just something so small and petty like that. I made one scene all about a water bottle that didn't need to be about a water bottle, about trying to get it in. But, you're committed to that sort of fuss, if you don't get it right. But the thing was, as much as we were nervous of those mistakes, sometimes good mistakes wind up in it. And then also, but when you did get it, you've got 6 minutes of the final film, which is so rare to get on a day. So it was this massive celebration of everyone yes, come on, high-fiving each other, go again, let's do another one. Even if it's taken 50 goes or something, once you get it, it's the best feeling.
Now, my understanding, and I want to know more about this because I haven't heard it from you, my understanding is that when you read for this or had your audition for this, you were not aware of what part you were actually auditioning for at first, because you weren't given the entire script. What did you know and what did you not know when you were first reading for this?
All I knew to begin with was it was Sam Mendes was making a First World War film, and I knew the character was called Schofield, or the character I was auditioning for, but there were just 2 scenes from the film that were the audition sides. And they were the most beautiful scenes I'd ever read. And I, although I didn't have any context for the story or how it would be shot, I hadn't even met Sam at that point, I felt like I knew the man. I felt like I knew Schofield or knew an interpretation I'd like to give just from the way he was operating in those scenes. And for anyone who's seen the film, the first audition scene is we've just come through our first obstacle, so to speak, of this German bunker, and they're having an argument between them. They have this sort of, it's almost like a married couple's tiff, and then they make friends again. And that scene and the way that sort of he's having to hold on to himself, I just sort of recognized the way he was being in that. And so.
So were you not aware that it was the leading role in the film? Is that what you didn't know until afterwards?
Yeah, no.
God. Yeah. That must have been trippy to find out.
Yeah. I sort of we figured as we went down the audition process that it kind of focused on these 2 soldiers going on this journey together. But yeah, it wasn't until the first meeting with Sam, which was the second one, where he said that he asked all these really interesting questions about what was been the most invigorating experience you've had in work, and what direction that you've taken have you enjoyed, and all this stuff. And then he said, okay, and this is basically the story, this is what it's going to be, and by the way, it's going to be in one shot. And then it was like, right, you're going to have to do 4 months rehearsal, 5 months rehearsal. You're going to be there for everything that I was saying before,
Wow. So what's great about the film, for those of you who haven't seen it, is that besides you and Dean Charles Chapman, there's these incredibly amazing performers who kind of pop in for a scene. There's Colin Firth and Benedict Cumberbatch and Andrew Scott and Richard Madden. What was it like for you guys just to kind of have these top caliber people come in for 5 minutes of the film supporting you?
It genuinely, the whole thing was the most mutual experience ever. Like, in terms of crew, cast, everyone, there was never a lead element other than the shot and the story. And so even when those big guys came in, they never threw their weight in that kind of way. And I think, if anything, they were actually, they often came into a project that was already on the go. We've had months rehearsing together, and so it was quite daunting for them to come into the situation with everyone looking at them, because they are these established actors, and they just did the most amazing job at slotting in and doing their bit. And when they were doing these scenes, the one thing that they all had, everyone, Richard, Andrew, Claire de Burke as well, who plays a woman I meet in this French town. The specificity of their work and the detail that they can bring out of every scene is just amazing.
You have another film coming out, True History of the Kelly Gang, that also premiered in Toronto, where you play an Aussie. What are you excited for people to see about that?
I think I'm just so proud to be a part of that film, because it was made completely with Justin's vision. It's a bizarre film, and I think in the best kind of way. I'm not just saying it, I've never seen another film like it. It's a complete... The idea, Ned Kelly is basically Australia's Jesse James, or our Robin Hood, and the idea of him has been appropriated to be kind of whatever. And Justin, it's based on a Peter Carey book, where he takes that idea of kind of what is true, and if you say I'm this thing, does that mean I'm that thing? Because it's just history, you weren't there, so it's just hearsay, and kind of have done this complete reworking of that legend, who is a sort of archetypal, sort of strong physical man, and we're playing as this bunch of punk boys in dresses, to kind of, and part of the rehearsal for this, he was like Justin always said, I see the Kelly Gang, although it's set in the 1800s, he's like, I see them as a punk band. So he booked us a gig in Melbourne before we started shooting, and we had 3 weeks to write a set and perform in a band, like in a bar in Melbourne, in dresses.
Were you the lead vocalist, or?
Yeah, we all wrote songs, like we all chimed in, and 2 of them are in the film, actually. Yeah.
Something to look forward to. George MacKay, everybody.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Hang out there for a second. All right, up next, we're going through all 4 of the UK folks in a row. Up next is Taron Egerton. Here is a scene from Rocket Man.